we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. And in this video, I'm going to tell you why. The reason of why is basically because we are humans. We are not robots. And this is a big reason, and it's a primary one in my opinion. Because, as you know, robots are really good at remembering things, right? Let's put it that way, and basically structuring information. I think that's the one of the right ways of explaining this. And we humans aren't. Like, if you really think about it, sometimes when you're like, even when you're talking, there's a million things that are going through your head, and then you go off topic, like you don't finish the topic. And that has happened to me a lot of times, and it's probably gonna happen to me throughout this video. So you're probably gonna notice that sometimes I'm gonna be talking about something, and then an idea is gonna pop off on my head, and I'm gonna talk about that. That's simply because I'm a human, right? And we have this brain that is just so different from computers, in a way that we don't structure as precisely as computers, right? Like, we have a very different brain. I will say we have a very more messy brain, and that's basically one of the reasons. Because if you are taught, like if you acquire some knowledge, if you are taught something, right, something that profoundly changes you, your perspective, your worldview, or just something that you found interesting, or just something you want to learn, right, in school or whatever, you get it, okay, you get it the first time, and for the first few minutes you're actually okay, your brain prioritizes that information. But since we are nowadays exposed to so much information, you look at other information, whatever, and you just kind of forget about it, or forget about the importance of it. You may not forget about the actual idea, but you may forget about the actual importance that you felt whenever you acquired that. And that's basically how our brain works. Like, our brain at the end of the day is trying to forget as much information as possible, right? So basically, in order to increase the probabilities of our brain remembering something, you basically need to there's a lot of ways to do that, but you basically need to be reminded. You need to really go through that stuff a lot of times. And I think the right point, or the right situation in which you are where you basically say enough, is basically when you are so tired of hearing the idea that you're just man, I'm so bored of this idea, right? Or I'm so bored of this, or I know it. Because that's the moment where you're gonna already have gone through so much repetition of that idea, and that your brain is just gonna be okay, this is important, right? Now, all the things I'm saying is really I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, so this is just things that have happened through my life, and this is just all from my experience, right? And also from other people, right, that basically share the same stuff with me. And that's basically the reason of why I think we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. Simply because we are human beings. We are in robots, right? We are not on that era, or in that time where we have a neural link on our heads and we can remember anything, right? And we can tell our AI on our neural link, oh, what's the most important thing, or whatever. We aren't yet. So maybe whenever we are at that time, this is gonna be useless, but for now it's not. Okay, so for now it's very useful. Now, I know this because I have gone through it. I have gone through this experience, and I really have. I think the most significant one is just on things that I genuinely care about, And let me give you a very specific example. For example, right before recording this video, and actually the thing that actually got me the idea of recording this is that I was just like rethinking about an idea that really profoundly like changed my perspective and worldview. And the specific word, it's my standards. That video was basically about standards. It was a video from Alex Hormozi. He's a great entrepreneur, and he just made that video about standards. Basically, it's how to raise your standards. I'm gonna leave it on the description. I really recommend it to watch it. And it really profoundly changed my worldview in that on standards. And I watched that in November of 2024. Right now we are at March of 2025. So that was like a couple of months ago. And then I don't know why, maybe because of my experiences that I'm living right now, my brain just started to remember that thing, right? And I was just like, man, I think I should watch this again. Like now that I think about it, I don't remember a lot of important things that I was like, oh, this is important. I just remember that this is important, but I don't really remember what was importance. And as I said previously, the reason why that happened is because we are humans, right? Like we are just trying to forget as much as possible, or our brains trying to forget as much as possible. So probably in that period of 4 months, that's what happened. So I revisited the video. I just watched it a couple of hours ago, and I was like, oh yeah, oh, got it. And I think this is a perfect example, because it's like an idea that, I actually cared about, but didn't really remember what it was about, and I just revisited, and it really changed, or at least my brain was like, okay, I watched this again, maybe this is important, and you start to remember some details, right? Like, for example, a thing that I remember a lot of from that video is, this is a very specific one that I just got into my brain, is part of accountability, what accountability really means. And in that case, Leila Hormozi, which is like the wife of Alex Hormozi, which is also, she's also an entrepreneur, so she said that accountability is basically like she describes it in her personal experience or whatever, with a formula, which is accountability equals the expectations plus the measurement times the reinforcement. And for example, that idea really got my attention, right? So that's why right now I'm like remembering it. And in that case, long story short, I view accountability in that specific case from a very different perspective, right? Like, you need to have the expectation, the clear expectation. You need to have the measurement, a way to see if you're actually achieving that expectation, and then the reinforcement, which is like just basically actually taking the action. I think that I'm gonna summarize it that way, because reinforcement is just like behavior plus like the consequence, right, of whatever you're doing. But yeah, this is off topic. And as I said it in the beginning, like, we're just such different species that like we're not computers, okay? As I said at the beginning, man, I'm probably gonna get off topic and whatever. This is exactly what is happening. I just wanted to I'm not saying it's bad. It's just like we're humans, right? And that's what makes us unique. So I think, it's great, right? Like, that's the value that we provide that AI doesn't provide, right? At least for now. So yeah, that's like one experience. Obviously, I have had a lot of them, but I think that's a great example of this topic. Just think about it. Like, there's a reason why, for example, Jeff Bezos reads the exact same book, basically like many times per year. I don't know if it's every year or whatever, but there's this very specific book. I'm gonna put it right here because I don't remember it right now, that Jeff Bezos reads, and he has publicly said that he reads it like constantly. And there's a reason for that. Like that book probably impacted him a lot. Actually, maybe got him the results that he has right now, or was a catalyst in order to get him the results that he has right now, and basically just changed his life, right? Like summarize this, as summarized as possible, will be change his life. And he's like, man, I really need to digest everything here, because if this changed my life from the first read, imagine how much more things I'm gonna notice that I didn't notice on the first read. And that's why probably he does it, right? If he was an AI, he wouldn't do that, because as I said, we're different, right? But there's a reason, right? He's just being reminded of that idea, of the importance of that idea. And I think that's a great example, right? Like that's another great example. So much other people do this, right? Like they just have that book that they read constantly. And for example, Naval Ravikant, which is another entrepreneur, obviously not as famous as Jeff Bezos, but still great. Like he's in another level, man. Like I recommend watching the podcast from Naval Ravikant and Joe Rogan, which now that I'm thinking about it, I think I should rewatch it again in order to be reminded of the ideas. It's a great podcast. Like that guy's just great. And in his case, the book that he has publicly said he reads a lot, and that he has publicly said this, the book that has made him like actually more intelligent in his words, is The Beginning of Infinity by David Deutsch or something like that. That's the book. I'm gonna put it right here. That's another example, right? The point I'm trying to make here is that like this is something that people that are at another different level, that me currently, in this case business, right? Obviously, I'm building things, understand. Like this is a concept that they understand, and that's basically why I'm creating this, right? I think it's very important, and they too think it's very important. So I think you should also think it's important, right? I think for whatever you're doing is gonna help you. Now, what you should do, or what do I advise you to do? What do I recommend you to do on this? Like how can you actually take action on this, and what I have done in order to like actually take some action on this, right? Not just actually absorb the knowledge, but actually do something with it. Basically, it's what I just said I did with the example that I gave you. So it's something. First, you need to like do this with an idea that really like impacted you, right? That really like changed you in a way. In my case, the example that I gave was the standards, like the standards idea really changed my worldview perspective on standards, right? Second, what you need to do is obviously identify the piece of content that you got that idea from. It may be a person. It may be like, man, I need to talk to this person again about this. And now that I think about it, talking with people, I think is very valuable on this stuff. So yeah, maybe a person, it may be a book, like Jeff Bezos or Naval Ravikant. It may be a podcast in my case, or in my example that I gave. It may be anything that gave you that idea, right? And then just revisit it. Now, the importance of the first step is that obviously you have a million ideas, but if you really think about it, there's just a couple of ones that really move the needle for you, or change your perspective, or made you a better whatever you're doing, right? A better entrepreneur, a better content creator, a better whatever. That really like changed you, right? In some way. That you care about. Obviously, different people care about different things, but there's something right now that you're thinking about, that, or some idea that you're thinking about, that you acquired and you were like, man, I think that was very helpful, that was very useful for me. And that's the thing that you need to focus on, because obviously I have had a lot of ideas, I've acquired a lot of ideas. It's like I have, like, when I was like 15, 14 years old, I was always watching shit post videos, and it's like, wow, you get like literally 1,000 ideas from those videos. But obviously you're not gonna do this on those videos. Like, it's just, I mean, my opinion, or in my case, looking back, I don't think that was very important at all or useful. you know? And basically, do the step 1, do the step 2, and just see what happens, because you will get new insights. It's like when you watch a movie 2 times and you notice something that you didn't notice before. It's the same thing. So yeah, I think that's pretty important. Right now I'm gonna go to the gym because it's, oh my god. By the way, this is literally, this is proof of that I was actually like listening to this. I recommend you to actually listen to this. It's very important. I think it's pretty valuable, so I'm gonna leave it in the description. I think you're gonna gain some insights from this. So yeah, I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm going late. Bye.